Would you look at that? It's Friday night in the shop, and we got the cutaway here again. Now, stay tuned, friends. We're going to rip apart that 026. I'm so glad that you guys are hopping in for that project. Somebody mentioned you 394 and then an 026. It's true. I'm all over the place, friends. Some of the projects I just do because it's something I want to do. Some of them I do because I know you guys are interested. I knew the 026 was going to be a hit. And it's a common saw. How many of you guys have one of those? Tons of you guys chimed in and said, I have one of those. You know, that is the most common firewood saw in this region. Well, it used to be. 10 years ago when I started this, those things absolutely grew on trees. They're getting old though, let's be honest. When was the last time they made a 260? Been a long time, but there's still a ton of those out there. They're fun to work on, and they're a great saw. And I'm looking forward to wrenching on that in the coming days. But anyways, friends, while it's fresh in my mind, I made this cutaway video a couple days ago for you guys. That video was 100% to get your brains working and just get you guys thinking about what's going on here. Am I pulling your leg? Are those numbers the right numbers? Did I re-zero it when I moved the cylinder? And if I didn't, why didn't I re-zero it? Now, friends, I'm going to say something to you. I've been working with this cutaway for 3 or 4 years now. I have done a dozen plus videos with this cutaway. I've timed it. I've taken it apart. We've been working with this for a long time. I know the timing numbers on this very well. I also have notes in my notebook. I knew the numbers on this. I know the squish. It's where it's at, right? So I knew right away when I timed the exhaust port that nothing moved because I know where the exhaust port is supposed to be on this saw. Approximately. Now, friends, sometimes when you time something, you might be a degree different depending on the day, and that's just your eye and your brain. And that's why it's important to take notes and be able to recreate your timing numbers. But anyways, let's dive back into this. Now, first thing I did today, I got a few comments. I turned the wheel around. I want you guys to be able to see as we're opening and closing it this time. And I want you guys to see me zero it. I still have the cylinder forward. Let's re-zero this with the pointer this way now and the wheel forward. Let's make sure that that's all good. Let's retime the exhaust port again to make sure nothing moved. Let's do the transfers and then let's finish with the intake. And then I'll talk about this with you guys and kind of I'll fill in more of the blanks. Now, I got some hilarious comments on this. I don't know if this fellow is being serious, but he's like, I don't know what the problem is. You have the wrong side of the case under that cylinder. Basically, I put the cylinder on backwards. I sure hope not, because if I put this cylinder on backwards, that means the Tin Man don't even know which way the cylinder goes on, and I better go back to grade 1. But no, this is the left side of the cylinder and the left side of the case. The dead giveaway is this is the flywheel side. This is the clutch side. You can tell because of the threads here. And the oil hole to put your oil in is on the left side, and it's right here. So I don't know if you were kidding, but I got kind of a chuckle over that. But I assure you, left side of the cylinder, left side of the case, your muffler goes right here. Anyhow, friends, I'm going to bring you guys in. Let's re-zero this. Let's get more in depth into it. I hope you guys enjoy these videos. I make this stuff 100%, not a look at what I know, because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things I don't know, friends. I'm always figuring things out. I'm learning stuff about these all the time. And I make these videos for 2 reasons. One, it gets you guys thinking about how these motors work. They're very simple, but very complicated. And number 2 is you guys make comments and it gets my brain working, and, you know, I can make a follow-up video. So anyhow, friends, let's get back into this. Let's re-zero it. And the zero number will probably change because I just screw this in. Sometimes I don't screw it in all the way. But let's see if this thing's zeroed, and then let's retime it. And I'll discuss to you guys the timing. And I went back to my original video on this, and I checked the timing numbers that I wrote down that day in my book, and I watched the video. So let's check this out. Okay, friends. So the reason I moved the camera or the cutaway in the last one is if you look, it'll zoom close or far. And when you move the camera and not the cutaway, it has a hard time focusing. So there's little tips and tricks. If you don't make YouTube videos, sometimes it's not apparent on why we do things the way we do. But you learn these things over time. Like I said, look, I want to focus on the 0. Well, now this is out of shot. So, but we're going to do it this way. Let's keep it on the timing wheel this time. And here, I can even zoom you guys right into the timing wheel to keep it classy. And let's see if we zeroed it. So I'm going to zoom you guys back here just a little bit. There you go. Let's screw the timing stop or the piston stop in. Okay. Now, I will say, off camera, I measured the squish. I measured the squish 4 years ago at 35 thousandths. I checked the squish today. Now I have different calipers. The calipers I have are a little bit more precise. I measured the squish today at 34.5 thousandths. So right there, my squish has not changed. Interesting. I thought it may have changed, but it hasn't changed. Okay, now I'm not sure what we were zeroing this at the other day. Just for fun, I took a screenshot of the last video and checked the 0 that we did when the cylinder was not offset. So it's exactly in between 56 and 57. So the question is, did I have to re-zero it when I moved the cylinder forward? Well, that's where we zeroed it last time. But we're at 57. Can you guys see that? Let's zoom it right in. This will help you guys with your wheels when you're learning timing wheels. Okay, so 5, 6, 7, and it's just slightly in between 56 and 57. We'll try and get it as close as we can. Okay, let's push this around. Okay, where are we at here? We are slightly in between 56 and 57. So we are 100% zeroed. I'll just check it one more time. We're slightly in between 56 and 57. The leading edge is on 57. You guys can see it right there, the leading edge. Now you can grind yours into a pointer. I'm not lazy, friends, but I do this all the time, so I kind of know what's what. And again, the leading edge is on 57, and it's kind of in between. Okay, so 100%, friends. We have this zeroed again. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to jump in and interject. I'm wearing my house coat because I took an extra day from work. We're going to go have a family day today, and it's Friday morning. And I'm just sitting on the deck enjoying something called sunlight. I can't remember the last time I saw the sun in this area, but anyhow, right there, I wanted to show you guys the zeroing process. I re-zeroed it. The 0 is exactly the same as in the last video, so take from that whatever you want to, but the 0 is exactly the same. So we have it zeroed. Now the reason why I didn't zero it in the last video, friends, and so many people mentioned, why didn't you re-zero it? Wouldn't that skew your results? I didn't re-zero it, friends. If the opening of the exhaust and closing of the exhaust is the same with the cylinder slipped forward, my 0 didn't move, did it? 103 and 103. And one thing I want to mention, there's a couple parts towards the end of this video. I call the exhaust opening 104 and 104. I just misspoke, friends. It's 103 and 103. So anyhow, here you go. It's zeroed. Let's time this thing again and see what happens. The cylinder is moved forward about, I don't know, 150 thousandths. It's not much. Now, I will say, friends, this is a super small, super short stroke piston or super short stroke engine. If this stroke was longer, we would probably notice an even larger difference. I may have to do this with another half of a saw. Maybe I'll make one out of one of those failed Farmer Tech projects. Farmer Tech guys, don't hate me. Just had a bad go with those Farmer Tech saws. Okay, where do you guys want to start here? let's go right here. I'll zoom you guys in. Now, here's the problem, friends. You're not going to be able to see the exhaust roof. You're not going to be able to see the exhaust roof with the timing wheel. But here's what I'm going to do for you guys. I'm going to focus you on the timing wheel. Okay? So you guys can see. Now, I can't see what's going on. I'm just going to look through here, okay, on the exhaust port. And I am going to call it when it's opened and closed. Now, I can't see the wheel from back here. So, okay, top dead center. We're going down, 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 down. Opens right around there. Right at there. Now, what I'm seeing today, and I'm really fine doing this with a fine-tooth comb, I'm seeing that this opens. Now, friends, this is the hard part. I'm not doing the ray of light trick here. That's how I time. Right here is about exactly where it opens. And where are we at today? You guys are getting some parallax, so I'm just going to move this. Parallax is just a difference in what the camera is seeing. So we're at 103 again. Let's move the piston up, and it closes right about there. Right about here. Right there, friends. So where are we at? We're at 103. Okay? So 103 plus 103 is 206. Take 206 and subtract it from 360. Okay? Subtract it from 260. And you end up with 154 duration. Now, I will say that is exactly what this timed with no base gasket and a zeroed cylinder. When I say zeroed, I mean this is in line with the crankshaft, okay? So we know right now that this is all tickety-boo, whatever you want to call it. This is exactly the same. So nothing changed on the top of the stroke. Now, let's turn the light on. I'm going to bring you guys right into the transfers here. Hopefully I can get timing wheel and transfers. Wouldn't that be nice? Let's turn the light on. Light doesn't want to turn on for me, so we're just going to keep rocking and rolling with this. You guys will be able to see the transfers, okay? Well, let's see if I can get you guys a little bit higher. Again, I'm going to do this in real time so everybody can see what I see. It's a little dome on this piston. These 028 Supers were hot rods. They had all the go fast goods. Okay, so I'm zooming you or focusing you on the transfers, okay? Open, closed. Now let's look at the timing wheel. Open, closed. 128, okay? We're at 128, and where does it close? Open, close. 128. So they open and close at the same time. If you want to time your duration, okay, 128 plus 128, okay, is, what is that, friends? That's 256 degrees. 360 minus 256 is 104. So these things are open for a whopping 104 degrees. Now you might want to pay attention to this as you start porting more saws, because you might notice that certain saws run better with the transfers open longer or shorter. It all matters. This is a lifetime endeavor. Okay, friends. Now, this is going to be the hard one, because this is the one that we really want to look at. Let's see. Okay. So again, I could focus you guys there and there. Let's go roundy round. Now, I may have messed this one up, but I'm actually down on my knee right now, and I'm looking for where that intake opens. And it opens at 71, okay? I don't know if you guys can see, but there's just a tiny wee ray of light coming underneath the piston. 71. And where does it close? Closing, closing, closing. Today we're timing it at 74, okay? So it opens at 71. I'm just going to reconfirm that. And it closes at 74. So we've confirmed our timing. We know that we were zeroed. Now, again, friends, I'm cheating. I built this tool and I know the timing numbers on it because I've been working with this thing for 4 years. And I knew the exhaust opened at 104. I reconfirmed it with my video. So, once I checked that it opened at 104 and it closed at 104, I knew that it was zeroed, because if it wasn't zeroed, then my exhaust should open and close at a different degree also. Okay, so that's why I didn't re-zero in the video, but I'm glad you guys asked that question. Let's talk about what's going on here. So the transfers in the exhaust have not been changed really. And I'm sure they've changed somewhat, but it's not measurable with my eye doing the timing the way I'm doing it. Right? The reason why, I think, is that because of where the intake timing sits in the rotation, okay, it's close to 90. And when I'm talking 90, I'm talking about where this big end bearing is sitting in relation to my degrees. Okay. So what's actually going on here, friends, is we are changing the stroke of this saw. Because we've moved this forward, okay, because the cylinder's forward, at 90 degrees here, the rod is more up and down. The piston is essentially, on the downstroke, is essentially longer, okay? The stroke is longer on the downstroke before it closes, and that's why it closes later, okay? Because the cylinder is moved forward, and my rod is at less of an angle. Just look at the tips of my fingers. Because we move the cylinder forward, when the big end bearing is towards the front of the saw, or the front of the cylinder, the more we move the cylinder forward, just like the tips of my fingers, the higher the piston sits. Which means, if the piston sits higher, it essentially has to travel farther. Okay? But on the way up, because the inverse of that is the rod is at more of an angle, it essentially is making the piston sit lower at a given degree. Okay? So it is opening and closing at different times, friends. Now, also, when this was sitting in the middle and my crank center line was in the center of my cylinder, or as it came OEM, it opened at 73 and closed at 73. That means 73 times 2 is 146. Okay? When I'm timing this like this, it opens... I misspoke here. So it opens at 71 before top dead center and closes at 75. So it opens late and closes late. This is why you need to check duration, because if it closes late, guess what? You could have a saw that spits back if you open it earlier. 71 plus 74 is 145 degrees of duration. Now, if I had a longer stroke, it'll exacerbate all of this even more. This is a really tiny engine to be doing this with. Now, the reason why I'm warning you guys about this is you will get the odd saw that this crank is not center in here, okay? If it's dead center, and I mean, realistically, friends, if it's dead center in this casting, okay, if you stick a feeler gauge in here on one side, mark a point, and here, if the crank lobes are closer to the case on this side and not that side, it may be off a bit, okay? But what I'm saying, friends, is the reason why I'm warning you guys about this If I time this saw and I just time it based on opening, it opens at 71. 71 times 2 is 142. Okay? But that's not actually what my duration is. My duration is 145. So, if I assume that everything opens and closes at the same time, okay, and I say, well, I want this thing at 150, it's only at 142. I grind this 4 degrees lower, okay? That adds 8 degrees of duration to my timing. Okay? If this saw is at 145 and I added 8 degrees, it's at 153. Well, maybe, okay, maybe, just maybe, that's too much timing for this saw. So, this is why I tell you guys these pointers. If you overtime your intake, it'll spit back. It won't idle properly. It'll be hard to start. It'll be hard to tune. Trust me, because I've done it many times. I used to think, oh, if this is good, that'll be better. And I kept adding timing and making intakes wider. And some of my early saws on this channel, friends, they're fun, but they're not the best because they're over intake. They don't idle. They don't idle. I have to tune them all the time. They cut good, but they're not good work saws because they don't idle. They load up right away. Anyhow, let's wrap this one up. I hope you guys learned something from this. And if you have any more questions or comments, put them below and we can do another video. Well, I hope that answers you guys' questions. Hopefully you got something from this. This is just more an experiment and explaining to you guys, for those of you that want to learn. A lot of you on this channel, you guys just want to learn. I love that. Believe me, friends, a lot of people that work on saws, they don't want to learn anything. They've learned everything there is to learn, and a different way is the wrong way. That's not me at all, friends. Every porter I've ever talked to does something different than I do, and it's interesting. And I find it interesting. And sometimes I try it, and sometimes I don't. And a lot of times the reason that I don't is maybe I don't have the equipment to do that, or maybe I'm happy with my builds on a certain saw. And often, friends, it's just time. There's only so many hours in a week, and there's only so many projects and experiments a fella can take on, especially when it's extra work like porting chainsaws. So keep an open mind, read a lot of books, study V8 engines, study whatever, study dirt bikes, snowmobiles, read the Two-Stroke Tuner's Handbook, understand what motocross guys do, hill climbers, like, old GP 500cc race bikes. Learn about that stuff, friends. It's out there on the internet. There's books, and you can kind of take away from that and learn a lot of stuff. Some of it doesn't apply to chainsaws, some of it does. So I like sharing this stuff with you guys. Thanks for hanging out here. And like I said, if you have a question or something else is a gray area, post a comment below. And bicycle people, thanks for hanging out here. I got a lot of people that build engines and strap them to bicycles and rip around. It's pretty cool, actually. And you guys have been here for years. Thanks for hanging out. And to everybody else, thanks for watching. Take her easy. See you in a couple days.